I called the president. President, we need a National Guard. We need as many men as you can spare because we are killing the Patriots. So call the dogs off. Send the National Guard, please. They need emergency help. Please help these folks. They're coming. Help is on the way. Help.
The Rams need all the help they can get after that domination that just happened. 41-0 in a preseason game. You never see that.
No, they need some milk. They need some they need some help. I don't know what was going on, but I love the way the Broncos looked. 41-0, that is a butt whooping. And I think that's going to be a long plane ride home.
Oh my God. Even for preseason, I mean, could you imagine? Sean was pissed after the Broncos lost last second in week 1. Yeah. He was just okay after week 2. Could you imagine if the Broncos got beat 41-0, even with backups being in? Oh, he would not be happy.
He would be livid. But the thing is Sean Payton today, he finally got to fire up Club Dub there at Power Field at Mile High. Really excited for the Broncos to get a big win like that at home. That was his coaching debut at Empower Field. So congratulations to them. I know it's just a preseason game, but anytime you win a game 41-0, that says something. So I'm excited. Let's get into this.
And I mean, just when you look all around the board, obviously offense scores 41 points. You know the last time they scored 41 points in the preseason?
Nope.
1996.
That was a good year.
It was a good year for the most part until the very end.
Till the very end.
But if the Broncos have that sort of year this year, I think people will be very happy with that. The defense, a shutout. And special teams, you just had one little blunder when Brett kicked the ball out of bounds off a kickoff, but otherwise, he was perfect. Kicking, I mean, this was as perfect of a game as you could have imagined. And I think fans are fired up for the regular season. And now, maybe the best thing about all of this, the next game the Broncos play, regular season, when it matters the most in 15 days. The Las Vegas Raiders are here for a real football game. I cannot wait for that.
This is exciting.
I'm
ready for that
here.
regular season football too. Todd, when it's these 2 weeks before that home opener, from the player perspective, like what are these 2 weeks really like as you're gearing up for that home opener?
You know, I think it's like the funnest time, you know, before the season because everybody has such anticipation for what we can be as a team. Everybody's excited to get started. Everybody wants to get rolling. You know, I'm used to having that 4th preseason game and not really focusing on that, kind of getting ready for, you know, the next opponent. So I think it's the best time of the season because nothing has happened yet, but you really feel like the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and what good timing for the Denver Broncos to have their best preseason performance before their home opener. That really set the tone on what it's like when these guys walk into Empower Field at Mile High. They park their cars, they walk in through the fan tunnel, they get to dap up all the fans, sign some autographs, and then, I guess, go in and win 41-0.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to say, the Broncos should pay attention to trends. Nothing happens by accident, right? I think that's what Sean Payton thinks. And the trend that I'm seeing is when Todd Davis is on the field for coin toss, the Broncos win 41-0. What a cool moment.
Yeah, that was great, man. It felt great to be back in the stadium. I feel like I got a lot of love. Got to talk to Sean, Joe Vitt, a lot of players that I got to interact with. And it was just fun, man. It was fun to be back. And I'm not saying that I helped, but you know what I'm saying?
It didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt. I can say that for sure.
Man, you were, I mean, here we go. Here's a little video of it. Let's pull that up here, make it bigger. So my only issue with this, Todd, is so you were kind of like the honorary person for the coin toss. Right?
Yeah.
Was that your title?
Yeah, that was it.
My only issue, though, you had nothing to do with the coin toss. I thought they were going to let you flip the coin. Would that have been like a conflict of interest, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. But I think it all worked out because I was going to tell them to go with tails.
Yep.
And then my boy Royce Freeman, who we all know, used to be a Bronco, he picked heads. And the moment he said, I said, man, that's a bad call. That's a terrible call. And it ended up working out for us. So it was all good.
It did. And then, I mean, like you said, right before the game started. I mean, the coin toss, you walk off, that's right before the game started. Sean Payton's dapping you up. I saw Justin Simmons giving you some love. You said Joe Vitt as well. You were just a rock star on the sideline.
I mean, it was great, man. I think you forget how much love and energy and good energy you have once you leave someplace, but it felt good to be back there and being able to talk with old friends and old coaches and so many people that I had a lot of respect for, and them showing me respect in the same regard. It was just a fun night for me.
Man, and you've got some bling on, some serious bling, but there's one thing that's just taking center stage, that Super Bowl ring, baby. Look at that. That is awesome. You don't break that out often.
No, but coming back to home, I like to call it, I had to bring it out. It felt right to be back in the city. I saw so much Super Bowl 50 memorabilia. It just felt good to be back there, so I had to wear it.
What'd you think of the stadium with all the renovations?
It looks great.
Yeah.
It looks great. I think the Jumbotron is great. My wife was telling me like they redid the suites and stuff. I had never seen it because I'm always on the field, but the suites look great. I think the whole arena is really prime for the Broncos to really have a great season. They're definitely spending money where they need to.
Yep.
They're definitely making sure that the fans have a great experience in the stadium. So you guys get ready, man. I think it's going to be a good season.
And how about this field? The field looked great. Yeah. They had a concert on it just like 6 days ago. They resodded the entire thing. We know last year when they did that, it cost them, what, like $300,000 or something? And they made it look great for a preseason game. Todd, like you said, they're spending all the right money, and they're just going to blow money to make this team look as good as they can, to make the product look as good. But, Alexis, I got to ask you, first game not at home for you. What was it like not being there?
Oh, I was at home, but I was at my home for a while. And then I came to my DNVR home.
Boom.
Eventually. So, it was a weird feeling. It was really cool watching the game and just kind of being able to hear some of that background noise and some of the fun things that we had talked about before I'd left the Broncos in terms of game entertainment and some of the things that they were going to put on that Jumbotron, and DJ Squizzy Taylor, my guy, there for pregame warm-ups. So it was really cool to see some of the things that they continued to implement after I was gone, and some of the new ideas that they had come up with just in terms of game entertainment. So I do know that is a huge area of focus for the Broncos. And, like we talked about with the renovations and the Jumbotron and food, like there's some $5 food items. Like the fact that the Walton Penner family ownership group is putting this much into the fan experience says a lot about who they are. And also, they're the wealthiest owners in the NFL. So, to give you a break on a pretzel or a hot dog is probably not going to, affect their pocketbook much. So it's really cool that the fans are going to be able to enjoy that.
And it was just the whole game and experience and vibe of the fans. It was fun as hell.
Yeah.
And it's a preseason game. Sometimes those can drag on and
well, that
on.
first quarter,
and
I was like,
yes, it dragged on for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky that game was only like 3 hours and 15 minutes long, because it was on pace to be like a 7-hour game. At one point, the Broncos are on pace to win like 70-0. They're on pace to have like 800 yards.
Rolling.
Yeah, it's supposed to be an NBA score.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's dive into the game. What was your biggest takeaway from the absolute beatdown?
I think it looked good all the way around, but if I have to give the biggest takeaway, it was Jarret Stidham and Albert O. I think if Albert O can run an over route every play throughout the entire season, he would be a great addition to the Broncos tight end room. I think they should find a way to keep him on the team. He looked really good in run blocking. I saw him make a really good run block on the goal line for them to burst in there and get a touchdown. But Albert O, man, hats off to him. I know he had a lot of pressure, a lot of people not knowing if he was going to really make the team. I feel like he came out and played in a way that he should be able to make the team, so hopefully he does.
Yeah. For me, Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yep.
Like, he's a guy who I tweeted last week, like, I do not want to see him in this third and final preseason game. And as much as when I first saw him out there, I was like, damn it, no. Like, we need to keep this guy safe. We need to keep him healthy. At the same time, he is so fun, so entertaining to watch. This guy, I mean, it's not like he was up in the air. Like, say, like an Alberto, who I think, again, all this week, last week, tonight, like, made a case to make this team. Jaleel's been a lock for as long as we could all remember, but to see him continue to make big plays, his runs, like his legs are so powerful. Yeah. And we were talking earlier before the show started, we're like, this guy doesn't even look like a running back. Mm-hmm. He looks like a linebacker. He looks like somebody who should be playing any other position but running back. So it's really cool to see him continue to come in, night out, practice in, practice out, and show up and just make big plays.
And there's someone on this set that knows all too well that you play great in college. You do everything you need to do to be drafted, but you come from a small school, so people just say, yeah, undrafted guy. Yeah. I mean, Todd, Sacramento State, you did everything you could have in high school and college. Yeah, exactly. I thought I was talking about myself maybe. But you do everything you can. Jaleel McLaughlin goes out there, sets the record for most rushing yards ever, not just at his school, by anyone. But every team's like, you're a little undersized. You came from a small school, so we don't believe in you. And then he just comes out and does the exact same thing in the NFL, not just in this game, but all of preseason. 4 touchdowns, I believe, in preseason for him. And then he's also been doing it every single day in practice. It's just wild how the NFL sometimes overthinks things way too much, whether that comes to game planning, whether it comes to player evaluation. To me, if a guy can play football and he's not like way too slow or something, he could probably play football at the next level. And that's exactly what Jaleel has proven really since he joined the team months ago.
Yeah, I think he's looked great. And I think that I really wish I could be in the front office. I feel like I would be a great evaluator of talent because it's really not where you come from or, what school you're at. It's really, can you play football, like you said? And I think he's proven it. He continues to prove it. I don't know how so many guys missed out on him, but I'm glad that they did because now he's here as a Bronco. And I'm looking forward to him making, more of a name for himself. He continues to make plays. There's so many times throughout the game where I'm like, oh, he's about to get tackled. Oh, maybe not. Like he continues to keep his legs turning, and he really shows you that he can be a powerful back, and he looks fast out there.
Yeah, he does. And one of the things that we hadn't really seen too much of in games that we got to see tonight because he was the Broncos' starting running back and given way too long to play. I agree with you, Alexis.
Yeah.
When he was out there to start, I'm like, come on. He's made the team. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Then when he's out there to start the second half, I'm like, what are we doing? Get him. Especially, he had been injured and been looked at by trainers in the first half. And then they bring him back. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wild. But he can run in between the tackles.
Yep.
And, I mean, we saw another undrafted running back who came in and did very well between the tackles, outside the tackles, Phillip Lindsay.
Yep.
And that was kind of maybe the biggest question with Phil was, okay, kind of a smaller guy, can he have success in the tackles? The answer was yes. Jaleel, he looked very comfortable within the tackles, and that's not a surprise because he's been doing it for 5 years in college as well.
Yeah.
But you guys started with the 2 biggest questions that we had. In fact, it was the pod headline. Are Alberto and Jaleel McLaughlin locks to make this roster? And it sounds like it's a yes across the board.
For me,
was there a little hesitation?
So. I mean, the Alberto, I've been the biggest Alberto fan since day one of training camp. I mean, he was a guy we were talking about, hey, who do you want to interview throughout training camp? And I'm like, Alberto's on my list. And I know some people had mentioned, they're like, well, why do you want to interview somebody who is probably not even going to make this team? And I was like, I think he's going to be a late bloomer in camp, but I think he makes this roster.
Spot on.
I think there's a way for him. I mean, I think somebody like a Michael Burton's going to have to not make this team. And maybe you throw Nate Adkins in as that F-back. But I think there is a way for Alberto to make this team. And if not, then I want to talk about maybe the strategy of George Payton then and Sean Payton. Because what they did tonight is they put him in perfect position to make huge plays and to look damn good to a point where I'm like, did they put him in perfect position to increase his trade stock?
That's a great angle.
That is.
I don't know.
I didn't think
it's
about
one
that.
of the two. They're either like, we want you, Alberto, go out there and ball out, or hey, we want to get something for you.
And talk about this. Who led the team in targets, do you think, tonight?
Hi, Alberto.
Alberto led the team. Who led the team in receptions? Alberto led the team in receiving yards. Alberto led the team in touchdowns. Alberto as well.
Yep.
And so you're right. I mean, it could have been a coordinated effort. That would be fascinating. But I got to say, if they do trade him, they better get something good in return.
Yeah.
He was a 4th-round pick. You really spent, not wasted, but spent 3 full years developing him and going through all of the lows that he had to go through and getting questioned of why is he even on this team to now when he's finally hitting his peak. If you trade him anything for less than a 4th, then I don't know what you're doing. That doesn't make sense. I don't think they would get a fourth back for him right now, just because,
tough.
Aqib Talib was traded for a 5th-round pick. Now, he had a big contract, too, but I don't think you're going to get a fourth. But to me, it just would make no sense.
Wasn't Trey Lance traded for a fourth?
Yes, he was, exactly. went from 3 firsts to a fourth. How about that? And so, to me, they'd have to get something big in return, because what I saw from Albert O tonight was a guy that can not just make this team and should make this team, but could have a good impact on this team this year.
Yeah, I don't see a way that they let him go. I don't think that they should. And like you said, I don't really see them getting more than maybe a 5th or 6th round pick for him. I don't think he's done enough to produce to make people feel like he's worth a 4th or 3rd round pick overall. Tonight, if he played like this every game, then yes, I think he'd be worth it. But tonight, I think he did enough to punch his ticket to stay here, and hopefully they find a way to keep him here. And I know there's guys that I've played with that it took them 2 or 3 years just to get their feet underneath them.
Yeah.
Some guys need a little bit more time, and I think we see it paying off for him in pass protection, pass running, pass routes, and then also run blocking. Every aspect of his game looks tremendously better this year than it has any other year.
And spot on. I talked about the receiving stats he had, which are mind-blowing, especially for a preseason game where he didn't play every single snap like he would if he was a starter in a regular season game. But his entire game was great. And the special teams coordinator this week, Ben Kotwika, said this is going to be a huge game for Alberto. And I think he just blew those expectations out of the water. And in fact, Sean Payton just spoke about Alberto. And he didn't say he's a lock to make the team, but I think he said something right next to that. And let's talk about that after I tell you about our friends over at Spirit Hound. Spirit Hound, raise a glass. I know a lot of you, what are we looking at? 10:36 p.m. right now on a Saturday night. A lot of you guys probably enjoying a beverage right now. Hopefully it's Spirit Hound. One of my friends, I got him a gift this past week, and I was at the liquor store, and I'm like, well, he likes whiskey. What do I get him? I saw Spirit Hound. I was like, gotta support the Colorado company. He said it's great, and not only does he say it's great, it's an award-winning whiskey. It's the 2022 Whiskey of the Year at the London Spirits Competition. So if you want a great spirit, they've got a couple available. You can get it at Spirit Hound, and you can get it in over 40 different states. You don't just have to go to their tap room in the Highlands or in Lyons, Colorado. You can get it in 40 different states. So check them out. When you see it at the store, get Spirit Hound.
Go get that Spirit Hound. And also, as you're in the contest, you should definitely check out Splash Sports. DNVR has a weekly Pick X contest for everyone to participate for real money. This is how you enter. You head to splashsports.com/DNVR. The link is in the description, and sign up. Deposit cash to get started and enter DNVR's weekly NFL Pick X contest for just $20. Now, that's crazy because you could win these 3 prizes. The first prize is $7,500. The second prize is $2,160. It's a random number, but that's the second prize. And the third prize is $1,080. So we'll be running these contests weekly all year, so be sure to keep that link handy and go sign up. Once again, the link is splashsports.com/DNVR.
Man, so Sean Payton, I'm just looking at some of these quotes that he's already put out. You can tell he's over the moon happy about the way that this went. He's saying that even the players that are cut, their dreams are still alive with other teams because of how well they played tonight. You can tell he's so happy. And with Alberto, here's what he had to say. He was asked about Alberto, and he said about guys who pushed to get a spot tonight, and he said, Alberto's one of those guys. Had a big night. Holy cow. Sean said holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds like a guy that either is making your 53 or you're like telling every other team in the league, like, holy cow, look at this guy.
Or you're going to hide him.
Yeah, you're right. You can't hide him now.
Exactly.
And the thing is I actually just saw a comment, and it's really true. Sean Payton is the guy who said, you'd hate to cut a guy and then see him become a star somewhere else. And when you think about Alberto and his timing, I think we can all agree that tight end is one of those positions that is maybe one of the toughest to transition from the college game to the NFL. And so while it feels like it's just taken Alberto so long to really show up in this league, his timing is not like absurdly late. Like, it's about right when you think of 3 different head coaches, different systems that he's been in, different quarterbacks that he's played with. Like, if you really think about it, he's kind of right on track. Maybe a little bit of a late bloomer, but pretty much right on track when you think about that tight end position and making that big transition.
Yeah, and I think for young players, you always progress faster when you have somebody to learn from.
Yep.
And I can't really say he's had a dominant tight end to learn from while he's here. I mean, he's watched Noah Fant, he's watched Greg Dulcich, but those are both two very young tight ends that are learning the game themselves. So I think maybe this year watching Troutman may have been the first year he's had a veteran tight end to kind of learn from. So I think he's kind of right on track for his development, especially being a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of right on track for where they expected him to progress to.
Such great points. I love that. And then also the big playability. Troutman doesn't really have big playability as that tight end. Greg Dulcich does certainly have that. But now it's not like you're just looking for one big play person from the tight end position, because you're without Jerry Jeudy for likely a couple of weeks in the season. You're without Tim Patrick for the entire season. So you need big play guys on your offense wherever you can find them. And what was it, like 3rd and 19, and Alberto catches a pass like 17 yards downfield, and then gets another like 3, fights for another 3, I believe, in the first half. And then how about that one-handed catch that he had? Was that on 4th down too?
I think it was.
The diving one-handed catch, just insane. This guy can just ball, and I think it's such a good point that it takes. We were a little spoiled by Greg Dulcich last year, coming out as a rookie and putting up fantastic stats. That you're right, that does not happen.
And he still only played 10 games last year, Greg Dulcich.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, his development was really interesting because he really gelled with Russell Wilson early in OTAs and minicamp, and then he missed all of last year's training camp. And so those little flashes that we saw, I mean, the London game always stands out to me in terms of like Greg Dulcich big moments, but like we still haven't seen him consistently at all for a 17-game season, right? So it's like, I don't know. Alberto's one of those guys who I feel like has kind of been dealt an unlucky hand his first few years, and I love Todd's point about not having a guy to really learn from.
And on top of that, I think that Alberto right now, he's been the best tight end on this team for only the past 2 weeks. I mean,
since we interviewed him?
Exactly, since the Alexis interview. So it's not like he's going to become the starter, but if Sean really is going to play the best players, Alberto should get some snaps week 1 against the Raiders. Not just make this team, but be getting snaps in week 1, potentially even ahead of Greg Dulcich.
Ooh, that's tough.
Maybe
that's
not that
tough.
far.
I don't know if he'll get to that point, but I definitely think he should make the team. I wish he could get some snaps, but I don't know if I see it happening just yet. I think it'll take some time. It may take somebody feeling tired or achy knee for him to really get in there to get his shine on, but at some point within the season, we should see Alberto getting a significant amount of starts.
And then Jaleel McLaughlin, lock.
Yeah.
Not even a conversation. Like, move on.
Yep.
Next.
I totally agree. He's someone, so then I'll throw the same question to you. Should he be getting snaps week 1? Maybe not significant snaps, but snaps.
I think so. I say 5.
5?
5. Yeah, because you got 2 healthy backs.
Yep.
You won't need him a lot, but I think 5 snaps, you get him acclimated to the NFL, regular season. And then you also throw him in there, maybe get him out on the edge a little bit, let him use his speed, get our guys a little bit of a break. So I think 5 to 6 snaps in the first game would be good for him.
Yeah, I like using him as a pass catcher out of the backfield. I mean, he's proven that he can do it. He's a guy that I think he's a really good guy to give Javonte Williams coming back from such an intense injury, such a brutal injury. Like, as much as Javonte is ready and he is 100% and he's shown it, I still am like, let's just ease him into this season. Let him, get 8-10 carries a game. Samaje could do, the bulk of the heavy lifting here early. But I love that Jaleel is an option for this team as, either the legs or hands out of the backfield.
And you know what Sean loves to do? Screens.
Yep.
Jaleel on screens. Get him in space. Get him some speed. He is a tough guy to tackle. And you don't know what he's going to do. If he's just going to stop on you, if he's going to use his fancy footwork to move by you. He is just so electric and fun. I absolutely... Todd, I think you're probably right. 5 or 6 snaps is probably what he's going to get week 1. But those are 5 or 6 snaps where he could get the ball on 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
And I could see Sean absolutely maximizing him. Okay, so we've answered that big question. Who else is stock is up after this game. After 41-0 beatdown, probably a lot of people's stock.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of them. But I think we got to talk about Jarret Stidham. I think this is the best he's played all preseason. The first 2 games, I don't think he played his best football. But definitely tonight, I felt like he was playing loose and free. There was a couple footballs that I felt like were not iffy, but you got to feel good to make certain throws. You know, he was making throws in tight windows, giving guys a chance to make plays. So you definitely knew that he was feeling more comfortable with himself and the playbook. So I think he played his best brand of football and really looked like a really good backup quarterback.
Of 100%, especially after the first game where he goes out against Cardinals is like, 1 for 8 or something, and looked like he was so uncomfortable in the pocket, couldn't move, couldn't drive the ball at all. And then tonight, he starts 7 for 7, 100 passing yards. I mean, led the team to 10-0. The very first drive, the Broncos go down and get a touchdown. He looked so comfortable. He moved really well. And then he just started getting beat up there. And I was like, take him out. We've seen enough. And Sean's like, nope, you're going back out there. You're going back out there. And at halftime, Jarret Stidham was on pace to throw for almost 500 yards in this game. I mean, it was a great performance where I feel so much better about him as a backup quarterback. I know he was playing against backups, but I feel so much better about him being the Broncos backup than I did 12 hours ago.
Yeah, and I think what's funny is maybe it's because I just watched Swamp Kings like yesterday. I finished it completely, just cranked on that.
Did you like it?
That's
Loved
great.
it.
Yeah, it was
Loved
great.
it. Absolutely. Like there was a few things, if we want my review, we could get to this later, that I was like, did you guys really just blaze past it? Like you guys mentioned Aaron Hernandez's name once and just like never brought it up again. But maybe it's because I have Tim Tebow on the brain. Like that one carry for like 20 yards, like he looked where he was sacked.
Oh
and then he escaped and somehow picked up 20 yards with his legs, and I was just like, holy Timmy T, like let's go. I was surprised by his mobility. His decision making was on point. It was just the perfect game to leave like the best taste in my mouth heading into this Tuesday 2:00 roster setting at what is that, 53-man roster. I mean, it's not like we were really discussing this huge quarterback competition. All 3 guys are going to be on this roster, but it makes me feel really good about Jarrett being number 2.
And how about the bombs that he was throwing to
bombs.
the one to Marvin Mims, which great play
I
by
cannot
Marvin.
wait to hear Hank just eat his words on this podcast the next time that he is on here. If I'm not here, one of you two need to call him out on Marvin Mims.
I think actually right when he caught that pass, I looked over at Hank and said, feeling pretty good about Marvin Mims, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I already gave it to him literally seconds after. And then the other bomb that he had to, who was the other bomb to? Was it Brandon Johnson? Yeah, I mean, Jarrett was letting it fly. I loved it.
Yeah, and he was sitting in the pocket. That one to Marvin Mims, he took a hit. And like you got to be a confident quarterback to know you're about to get hit in the mouth and still sit in the pocket and deliver a nice pass. And I think he did, man. So there was a couple good plays by him, man. He's looking good this game.
That's all heart. That's all heart to know you're about to get lit up.
Yep. And then Marvin Mims, that catch. And then also, I mean, that catch was great because it was pass interference by the defense. He still fought through that. He read the ball perfectly to know that he had to come back to it a little bit, fought through the contact. Then just a rookie, probably after playing your entire career, where if you are on the ground, you're down no matter what. But to have the awareness to get up because he might have not been touched and run to the end zone, you probably don't see a lot of rookies make that type of play. So that's something that Sean Payton's got to love, is his awareness. And then the toughness. How about that jet sweep where it looked like he was going to get a touchdown, and then he was absolutely ripped down by his face mask. I mean, it was so brutal. They ejected the guy.
They should have.
That ripped him down. And Marvin Mims, I mean, I love it. I love my prediction that he's going to be the number 2 receiver on this team when Jerry's out.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Why not? I think he's a young player, but he has a lot of talent. And then to your point about his ability and his thought process to get up and keep going, that shows that he's intentional in his preparation, and he's thinking about how to create plays at this level. You know, he's not stagnant in where he was. I think can be a good asset to this football team. Number 2, let's go. I'm with it.
Yep, there we go. I love it.
That was such a heads-up play by him. I did not see where he was down by contact. I feel like we saw it from every angle, and I still never saw it.
It was like a light tap. I think it was like a leg tap.
Yeah, I think he was kicked. It was very unintentional.
I don't even think the guy meant to do that.
I was like, I want to count that one for Marvin Mims so bad.
I know. Me too. I want to as well. Okay, who else? Essang Bassey, to me, is a guy that we talk about. Alberto making plays throughout preseason, and Jaleel making plays. 3 games, 3 interceptions for Essang Bassey, who's really not just been a playmaker.
Yep.
He's a guy that's proven he has versatility, which is so key. If you're one of those last guys to make a roster, you have to play special teams. And then if you can add versatility, that's such an extra thing to have on your side. I mean, in this pick that he had today, like the one in Arizona,
this is the best one.
The receiver felt this one was a great read.
Yeah, great read. The way he was able to sink back in that pocket for that dig. He knew it was coming.
Yeah.
He was playing off of number 2, and I just love the way he was able to read the quarterback and get that pick. And to me, this is not his first real pick, but this is the pick that meant the most, more than the other 2. But I think you gotta keep guys on the field when good things just happen when they're on the field. I think Justin Simmons is one of those guys. Like, doesn't matter. He may be in the mind of the other quarterback, but some way, somehow, that ball is coming to Justin Simmons' hands. Like, that's just how it works. And I think Bassey has that same kind of ability to kind of, get the ball, make things happen. And so you got to keep him on the field when you can.
Essang Bassey is a quiet killer, is what I'm going to say. Like, he's very underrated. He's not the guy who, is going to get up on the podium and say a lot, or he's not somebody that you really think of when you think of a big playmaker for the Denver Broncos. That's because obviously he's been one of those guys who's been on the cusp every single year that he's been in Denver. But I think this has been his year. And like you guys mentioned, the 2 picks before, they were good. He was in the right place at the right time. Like, you still have to have the hands. You still have to come down with the football, like, in order to make those plays. But the way he watched the quarterback's eyes on tonight's pick was absolutely flawless.
Yep.
It was he was exactly in the right place at the right time, and still had to, like, turn around and make the play, right? Like, it was just very, I think, indicative of the kind of player that he really is. And for him to have 3 picks, I mean, Essang Bassey, for me, is a lock to make this team.
A lock?
I think he's a lock to make this team.
Wow.
Todd?
I think he is too. 3 picks in 3 preseason games, like, that's balling out of control. You got to keep that guy on your roster.
Man, if I'm saying, or anyone else that we're saying are locks tonight, I'm cracking open a Breck Brew tonight and celebrating with a Mountain Beach Sour, perfect beer for the hot summer days that we've got going on. Mountain Beach Sour, a little bit of sour, but a really nice light beer. And if you want to get your Breck beer on, go to breckbrew.com for their beer locator. You can find it all across the country and at the DNVR Bar as well. But if you want to find a specific Breck Brew, check out breckbrew.com. We went and toured the Broncos Stadium yesterday. They've got Breck Brews everywhere, including Broncos Country Pale Ale, which makes sense to have Broncos Country Pale Ale at Empower Field. So check out breckbrew.com.
And if you're enjoying your Breck Brew watching the game, you're not in Colorado, I suggest that you go to Circuit Resorts and Casino. There's a great property in Las Vegas.
Nailed it.
You get 20% off your stay with using code DNVR, so that's awesome. It's Vegas's first ever adult-only casino, so you don't have to worry about the kids. You can leave them at home and go have a good time. It's the world's largest sports book. It has a 3-story stadium-style amphitheater with pools and 95 screens. It's a perfect place to watch the Broncos game. It takes 10 people to operate 78 million pixel screens, so it's an amazing place to watch a game. So I think you should go. You should check them out. Once again, it's Circuit Resorts and Casinos.
There's only one issue with tonight. One issue. You know what it is?
The kickoff out of bounds?
Okay, there's 2 issues with tonight. That's one of them. The other, we have so many people watching right now and so few thumbs up. Hit us with the thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. I know there are so many more people watching than we have. There we go. Not even a quarter of people have given us a thumbs up. Hit us with a thumbs up. It really, really helps us and shows us that you like these post-game pods and these late-night pods. So hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. It's free. Like I said, it really helps us. Something that the Broncos need. Receivers. Like, not just receiver depth, but receivers for week 1 potentially. And I think Lil Jordan Humphrey made a big jump tonight. I think... Okay, I can't say I think he's a lock. He's a lock to make this team.
Nice.
Because I think Sean really wanted to highlight him tonight and give him an opportunity to either make the team or miss the team. And I think he really stepped up. He was given 4 targets, 4 catches, and he was doing more than just catching the ball. He was running like a running back when he got the ball in his hands. And to me, him and Marquez Callaway were kind of on even level over these past couple of weeks, and it wasn't even close tonight. I think he took this and ran with it. He could be the Broncos' 4th receiver come week 1, which is wild. So I guess if I'm saying that he's their 4th receiver, he's definitely a lock to make this team.
Yeah, I think he's another guy that continues to prove himself week in and week out. And like you said, we need some help. A little help at wide receiver. So I think he may be a lock to make this team, depending on the health of the other guys. But I think his depth is necessary.
I think what's interesting about him is like where he was at last year, right? Like he was a free agent halfway through the season last season. So you could think like, okay, is he a guy that maybe you can slip him through on the practice squad?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I think tonight he proved that he deserves a spot maybe over a guy like Kendall Hinton. And like I'm the biggest Kendall Hinton fan. We all
Doesn't
are.
sound like it.
Hey, get out of here. I really am. But I just feel like Lil Jordan just had a little bit better. The little things are really these are kind of fun. He's had a little bit of a better training camp, and I think today he caught everyone's eye, and I think he is a little bit more than just a practice squad player.
And he's a little bigger than most of the Broncos' other receivers. He brings that size. Courtland Sutton obviously has that. Then you would look to Tim Patrick. You can't do that now. Brandon Johnson, not the biggest guy. Marvin Mims, not a big dude by any means. Jerry Jeudy, not a big guy. So Lil Jordan does have that size. 6'4", 225.
Yeah.
I mean, we're almost talking Albert O size. We're almost talking tight end.
He fits that Tim Patrick mold really, really well. And I think when we talk about the dynamic duo of Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick, the fact that we haven't seen them together as much as we would have hoped, I think Lil Jordan Humphrey is a really nice guy to fill that spot.
I think Todd just gets a kick out of the Lil Jordan.
Little big Jordan.
The other day we were talking about him, and somebody, I think it was Hank, he was like little, like I feel like it was like very, he pronounced Lil like little Jordan. I was like, no, it's Lil.
You can say Lil.
Like Lil John.
And I heard the way that he got that name was because his older brother, when he was born, wanted to name him Michael, after Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And his mom said, I'm not going to do that. So the way to honor Michael Jordan was to call him Lil Jordan.
Okay.
Isn't that kind of cool?
That is kind of cool.
I love it.
That's pretty funny to be like, no, we're not going to name you Michael
We'll
to
name
honor
you
Michael Jordan. We'll name you Lil Jordan to honor Michael Jordan. Quite a way there. Who else stood out to you and stock rose in this game?
Stock rose.
I don't know if his stock rose, but I think he continues to perform at a good level. Is Drew Sanders? I think he keeps continuing to prove everyone right. All the hype that's really been around his name, to start the season. I think it's kind of true. I thought that the play he made was trash, that it was a flag. It's not he threw him on his head. He just made a good tackle. And you got to be in a good position to really body slam somebody. So
that was sick.
So yeah, I think he continues to look good. And me, I'm always watching the linebacker. I think he looks good and continues to.
Man, I think Drew Sanders, we just got like the ultimate Drew Sanders experience on multiple different plays. Yep. The one where he makes a really good tackle and then just body slams him at the end. Vance is probably going to say, you can't do that. We've seen him 2 or 3 times in training camp where he makes a great play on a little running back and then he just throws him down way too hard, and it's a flag in training camp, kind of just like today, where it's the ultimate Drew Sanders experience, where he's so strong and so big and so powerful that he just needs to learn to contain it a little bit. But it's after he's making great plays, and then the interception, we also got the full Drew Sanders experience, where he makes a great play on it. God. Then he takes off like he's a wide receiver or a running back. And then the quarterback strips it. I mean, it's not a running back getting him. The quarterback, it wasn't Stetson Bennett too? Like a tiny guy is stripping the ball from him, but he's just a playmaker.
And my guy Elijah Garcia comes up with it.
And Elijah Garcia, another riser, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think Elijah's been great, but to stick on the Drew Sanders note, I mean, I just feel like he fits that room really well. Like, the starters are called the Bash Bros for a reason. Like, they are kind of, there's like one screw loose for those starters. And I think Drew is learning from some really great guys right now. And he came in, that was already his game, but it's not like he has guys ahead of him that he's like, oh, well, they don't play like this. They're all incredibly physical guys at that position in that room. So I think he fits in. I think, we heard from Alex Singleton earlier this training camp, and he was just like, hey, he's really similar to us. He plays just like us. He's nothing like us in terms of personality. I guess he's a really quiet guy, but I like another quiet killer, kind of like my boy Essang.
Yeah, I like his energy.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's his fault that everybody's so small. Get your weight up, guys. You don't want to get thrown around. Get in the weight room. That's not his fault. But, I love physical play, and he definitely brings it. So I love seeing that as a linebacker. So keep doing it, man. I think you're doing a lot to make a name for yourself. And if they can find ways to have 3 linebackers on the field, him, Josie, and Singleton, I think that would be a good package. I see them doing a lot with Dime, but there's other things you can do to have 3 linebackers on the field. So let's see what we could do, Vance. Let's put the package together. Get all 3 of them boys out there.
Drew Sanders maybe had one of the biggest compliments from Nick Saban that I have ever heard this past week. Now, it wasn't directly a quote from Saban, but Saban was talking about the transfer portal, and he said, there's only one guy in this new transfer portal that I've lost that I've been upset about. And someone that covers Alabama speculated that he thought Saban was referring to Drew Sanders. If Nick Saban not only recruits you as a 5-star recruit, but then is saying after he's been around you that's the one guy that has left me that I've been upset about, oh my goodness, what a compliment. And then Jack Campbell, an inside linebacker from Iowa, gets drafted in the 20s, in the first round in the 20s in this draft. And there's a lot of draft analysts that said they like Drew Sanders more than Jack Campbell. So it's not a surprise that we're seeing Drew Sanders come out here, despite being a 3rd-round pick, and just ball out of control, because some people liked him more than a 1st-round guy. Nick Saban loves him. And I just wonder how they get him on the field. And I mean that in a good way, because I think you're right. I think Vance has to find a way to get him on the field. Vance has already admitted that we have packages designed for Drew, and we haven't shown anyone what we're going to do with Drew, because we have certain things that he can do that no one else can do. I'm really excited to see what those things are, because with Josie and Alex, you're getting guys that you can count on and trust, and I have to imagine that is huge for a defensive coordinator. But with Drew, you're getting athleticism that is pretty rare for that position.
Yeah, and you're getting size. I think they could even put him on the edge and let him blitz a little bit. I think he would feel comfortable out there. Imagine a package where you could have all 3 of those guys, like even like 3rd and long, you can put together a package and have all 3 of the inside linebackers plus Frank Clark and our outside rushers all in one package, and just let them go crazy and see if the offense can handle it. Like, I think that would be a bomb package. I'm not defensive coordinator or nothing, but
man,
I think I can put together something.
A former inside linebacker advocating for more inside linebackers on the field at once.
I've never
That sounds about right.
I'm with it.
I think what's interesting about what you just said too, that's pretty cool when you talk about, like, hey, VJ said that there's packages with Drew Sanders that we haven't even seen yet. Think of just how many packages we haven't seen yet. I mean, this is the preseason. Of course, they're going to show us what? I mean, you would know, 10%, 20%. I don't know what the number is. Yeah. So it's like the number of tricks up VJ's sleeve that we have yet to see is super exciting given the level of talent that I think this defense has.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Someone else that I have to give a shout out to, Brandon Johnson. We talked about his big catch that he had.
Yep.
Receiver position. He stepped in for Tim Patrick when Tim Patrick went down and Jerry was still healthy. Brandon Johnson was your third receiver when Marvin Mims was still working his way back from that injury he had to start training camp. Brandon Johnson was easily the Broncos' number 3 receiver. And any important time in practice, Brandon Johnson was out there on the field with Russell Wilson. And Brandon Johnson, I think he was already a lock to make this team, but really, really solidified it. And I think it's going to be him and Marvin Mims competing for that number 2 spot. And then whoever doesn't get that's probably the third receiver if Jerry is not healthy come week 1. So it was good to see Brandon come up with a big play because he's going to be counted on, especially early on this season.
Yeah, he didn't really miss a beat. I know he was working back from injury, and there was a lot of talk about, who's going to be the guy to step up between him and Mims, and he didn't really let that get to him. Didn't miss a beat, and he went out there and made plays. That's all you can do is when your number is called, go out there and make the plays that need to be made, and he's showing you that he can do it. So he's getting healthier. He's pretty healthy now, so I look for him to make a lot more plays for the Broncos.
Anyone else that we need to give a shout out to trending up? Because when people trend up, there's probably some people that trend down, and it doesn't feel like we should be talking about anyone trending down after a 41-0 beatdown.
Yep.
But there are some people whose stock did go down, but I want to make sure we gave the love to everyone we need to first. Anyone else that you want to mention?
Is Maher back?
He's back.
Is he back? He
back.
seems like he's making a lot of kicks.
Yeah.
No missed extra points. He's kind of...
And if you want, you can give him the benefit of the doubt week 1 because that field was so awful.
Yeah.
If you want to be a Maher believer, you say, well, they're not going to play on fields that bad like they did in Arizona when he missed the only kicks that he has.
Yep. And, I think you miss a few, going back to last year. I think the best thing you can do is start making them. And since he started making them, he's been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So maybe his headspace is back where it needs to be. So
Good point.
maybe he's back.
And
That's
also,
all that matters too when you're a kicker. It's all here.
especially with his leg, like Elliott Fry,
He's got a boot.
he tried, but his leg probably topped out at like 57 yards on a good day. I honestly think Brett's leg tops out at like 75 yards. Now, they're never going to have him try a 75-yard field goal.
Hey, you never know.
Exactly. But I think he could legitimately consistently make 65-yarders, especially in Denver. That just shows how big his leg is. So it's not an issue with his leg. It's an issue with his head. And I think his head might be feeling confident right now. The only thing is the one issue that you brought up is that kickoff that went out of bounds. How much does that piss off Sean Payton? How much does that upset Mike Westhoff? Because Will Lutz, still an option, a guy that we know Sean Payton has trusted for years and years. Outside of that, though, Brett's done everything you could have asked in the past 2 weeks. Yeah.
I mean, I think with Mike Westhoff in the building, I think he probably got a little bit of an earful. I mean, it was 41-0, but like I said, Westhoff probably said something to him. That's brutal. Those are just some of those that's a mental mistake. Those are things that you can't do. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think he's shown enough throughout the past couple of weeks. I think he's fine.
Fine?
Fine. Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional? Fine.
That's probably how he... Well, let's hope that's not how he is.
I don't want him freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. I want him legit fine. I also just want to give a hat tip to Ben DiNucci. He went 11 for 15 for 117 yards and a touchdown. So as much as like today was kind of like the Jarret Stidham Alberto show, Ben came out. He looked good, which makes me happy that the Broncos can carry 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and 14 points and a half.
I like it.
That's something that the Broncos are not used to since Payton was around.
With the third string guys, many of them who won't be around, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about 3 receivers trending up. That means some are probably trending down. You mentioned him already, Kendall Hinton. Unfortunately, what was it last week? He had 2 drops and a penalty. Today he had a drop. Now the pass was behind him, but it still hit his hands. But he gets targeted twice today. 0 catches on those targets, and he makes the team by a numbers game if they decide to hold 6 wide receivers. But right now, maybe not looking the best for Kendall Hinton, who everyone in Denver just loves, and it can, in a great way embraces as a Hall of Famer because he's got his Hall of Fame, or he's got his stuff from that game he played quarterback in the Hall of Fame, but it's not looking good for him.
I think Marquez Callaway and Will Jordan are going to be your two guys, and Kendall probably on the practice squad, which is a good spot for him. I think he'll stick around, and we like him here in Denver.
Yeah, and now maybe, I think it was Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator. No, maybe it was Sean Payton, I think, actually, this week, said, we like Kendall Hinton in the slot. So if they feel like they don't have a true slot guy, they've already identified Kendall as that slot guy. So that's how he would find his way on, but it hasn't been the best 10 days for him.
Yeah, I think it's, catching the ball is kind of like kicking the ball. It's all about mental. We talk about it with Jerry Jeudy and some of his drops, and I'm not sure where his headspace is to why he's dropping passes. I don't think he was normally a guy that would drop passes. He was normally a guy that got few targets, but when he did get his targets, he made good plays with it. So hopefully he can get back into the headspace, maybe on practice squad for a little while until he figures it out. But I think they should find some space for him to stay in this team in some capacity, because he does have good route running ability, and it is a good look for them in the slot if they need him.
Yeah, another receiver who's probably not trending in the right direction, Montrell Washington. When Marvin Mims was dealing with that injury at the beginning of camp, Montrell Washington was like the Broncos' big play receiver. Now, it's typically happening with the second team, but he was the one getting the only 50-yard touchdown passes in training camp practices from Jarret Stidham. And then since he's really fallen off in terms of the opportunities he's been given, but he was going to make this team as being the number one returner, kick returner, punt returner. Today, he fair catches a ball at like the 4.5, 5 yard line. You really can't have that ever. And that's just something that we consistently saw last year, where the coaches kept telling him and then telling us, like, he's got to put his feet at the 8 yard line and cannot move backward. And then he would just consistently catch the ball at like the 4 yard line. And today, seeing him catch that ball at the 5, I just thought, man, that's brutal, especially at the same time that Marvin Mims, who's listed as a starting punt returner and kick returner, has that great return, 19 yards, where he just looked like a starting kick returner and punt returner in the NFL. So I think Marvin's easily not just your number 2 receiver with Jerry out, but I think he's also easily your starting returner, period.
I wonder if Montrell does that because it's the preseason and he wants to make a big play, right? I mean, I think
is that what he's telling Westhoff after?
Yeah, right. No, I think that's the goal. I think that's the intention. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, he's probably going to Mike Westhoff saying, oops, sorry about that. That's my bad. But I get a guy in the preseason wanting to make a splashy play. We know, historically, that's how guys have made a 53-man roster. I mean, Terrell Davis is a great example of that, right? That was a big hit, not a return of any kind. But I just think that the intention is good. And maybe this is just because also I'm a Montrell fan. The intention's there, but it's brutal and it can't happen.
Yeah, I think for coaches, new mistakes are okay, but like old mistakes, that's where it becomes a problem. So I think if this has been an issue and it continues to be an issue, like, then that's where coaches can't really give you the benefit of the doubt, Yep. Something new in the game comes up, then we can kind of work on that. But, this is something that he kind of need to figure out and get right. So I don't know. I don't know how they feel about that.
Man, it feels like you've heard that before.
Yeah.
New mistakes are okay. Old ones aren't.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you always have guys.
Not directed at you, of course.
No, it was never me.
In the room that you've been in.
Yeah. You definitely have guys in practice and in training camp where, like, coach has told you this 12 times, and we go out to practice, and all you have to do that day is get this one thing right, and coach will be happy, and you still can't get it right. We call those guys can't get right. But, like, I definitely have seen it before, and that's where I feel like I got the understanding. Like, maybe you mess up on something new. Like, that's okay, but don't keep messing up on the same thing. Like, that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, no, 100%. 2 more guys that I don't think tonight played out well for them. Nate Atkins, the tight end, not because of anything he did, but just because of Alberto.
Yeah.
There's already 3 locks at tight end. Well, now 4 with Alberto.
Yep.
To carry a 5th tight end when you're also carrying a fullback, which would be like 6 tight ends kind of, that might just be really tough. Now, the good thing for Nate Adkins, he's done enough to certainly make the practice squad. Broncos will probably want an extra tight end on the practice squad, so he'll probably make the practice squad. As an undrafted rookie, that's not a bad place to be, to start your career on a practice squad.
No, practice squad, I mean, you're in the building, and we know how quick things happen, injuries, knock on wood.
You
know, yeah, for sure. So that's definitely not a bad place to be. I mean, as long as you're in the building, you're getting them checks, you're pretty good.
What's interesting about Nate, though, is that he really can. He played fullback in college.
Yeah.
So I think you look for Nate to make this roster more as a fullback than Michael Burton. I don't think Michael Burton makes his team.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
I think Nate Adkins takes his spot.
Wow.
Because Alberto made a case for himself to be in that tight end room.
Wow. So Alberto didn't hurt Nate Adkins. He hurt Michael Burton.
Wow.
Dang.
Fire take.
I mean, that would be
a hot one.
that would honestly
Todd, like this girl knows nothing about football.
that might be like the number one biggest surprise if Michael Burton doesn't make it.
I don't think Michael Burton makes his team.
Wow, we're gonna clip that if it happens. You heard it from Alexis first. I think I haven't heard that from anyone else.
I know.
I like that. Wow, you're
you guys
mean.
are gonna make fun of me later.
Jeez.
I don't know. I'm just here for fire takes late on a Saturday.
And in honor of back of the roster Hank, his guy, Alex Palchevsky.
Oh God.
Probably not the best night for him because we're talking about so many other guys on the offense doing well.
Yeah.
You got to find roster spots at some point, and he is the undrafted rookie who just gets compliments left and right from every coach, and they say the exact same thing that Hank says about him. It doesn't look pretty when he's on the field, but he always gets the job done. Except for tonight. He had a holding penalty on, I think it was Stidham's sack that he got out of and then ran. I think that was Palchevsky that just let the guy through untouched, or there was another sack where he gave up at least 1 or 2 sacks tonight. But again, just like Nate Adkins, probably a guy that's going to make it to your practice squad, and the coaching staff's going to love developing him, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's their starting left tackle next year. If they move on from Garrett Bowles, but just not the best night for him. And even Hank would say that about Palchevsky. I think he's taken him off his 53. But honestly, tonight couldn't have gone better, because we're talking about pretty much all of these people that stocks are trending down because other people's stocks trended up so much higher that it just knocked them down. Where the first 2 games, we could have come on here and been like, man, a lot of stocks trending down. We do not feel good about the depth of this team, but I'm feeling so much better about the depth of this team now than I was this morning.
Yeah, I mean, 41-0. I mean, what can we really say? I mean, that's a great game all the way around. Even that kick out of bounds, I think, you kind of fast forward through that a little bit at a 41-0 win. I think it would be a good film session. These are the film sessions you want to go to. Like the next day when you're watching film, like you might bring donuts in for everybody, get some coffee. Let's sit back and enjoy this, because it doesn't always happen this pretty, but that was a pretty one.
And when you go to that film session, everyone's wearing Shady Rays because the film is so bright of what's going on. Yes, exactly. I need Shady Rays not because of these lights that we have behind the set, but because of Todd's bling. It's so bright.
Seriously.
So make sure to check out shadyrays.com. And if you get 2 or more pairs of sunglasses, they're going to give you 50% off. And they're already affordable. And you're going to get them half off if you get 2 or more pairs by using that code DNVR over at shadyrays.com. And Shady Rays also has fantastic customer service and return policy. You can exchange a new pair or return them for free within 30 days if you don't like them, if you want another pair. So check out Shady Rays, where they're going to take care of you. Use that code DNVR over at shadyrays.com.
And if somehow you were blinded by something, and then because you weren't wearing Shady Rays.
Yep, that's good. No, good transition. You did it.
I'm trying here. Be sure to smash the 2. Call 222-2222. Backus and Shanker. You guys know them. They are here for you. Any kind of injury case where you were not at fault, car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian, trucks, they can help you if you were injured at work. They're the absolute best. When you get hurt, Backus and Shanker is here to help. They win for Colorado families, helping Colorado and those who were seriously injured here for more than 25 years. We all know that they have won over $1 billion for their clients, which is a whole lot of money. So if you need to sue, make sure you smash the 22222 Backus and Shanker.
Nailed
Did
it.
I leave a 2 off though? 22222. I left a couple 2s off there.
I think,
but it's all the 2s.
It's
just 2s.
It's all the 2s.
You
Pretty
guys know
easy.
that.
Yep. And you guys also know it hits with a thumbs up. We're almost at 300, and I know we got so many more people watching. So hit us with a thumbs up. We really do appreciate it. And
I feel like Todd
over 700
like
people.
it.
Todd should have done that read.
No, you
You're so
nailed
much-
it.
Todd's so much better at the reads, y'all.
No, you killed it.
Hit us with a thumbs up to show Alexis
Gosh, I'm
support.
so bad.
That's what she
$1 billion.
needs.
Hit the thumbs up.
Nothing makes me feel more insecure than an ad read.
And you nailed it. Although Yahir's probably going to clip it
Yahir,
and be like,
chill,
no. Yeah.
chill.
Calm
I don't need
yourself,
Backus and
Yahir.
Shanker to know that I left off a couple 2s. He's like,
I
clip
don't
that
know what
one
you're,
off.
I don't know what you're talking about. But where's your mic, Yahir?
It's actually not working because I don't want to buzz.
Yep. Everyone, Yahir's working without a mic. They love to give him
Sure.
crap for that. Speaking of the people, should we hop into the comment section? Talk to the people. We got a couple super chats, right, Yahir? They can't hear what you said.
Oh my God.
All right, first super chat coming in from our friend C. Ghost, who says, I got my Chicago tailgate tickets. Let's go.
Yep.
And I believe this is the last day or two that you can get tickets to join us in Chicago. We're taking our show on the road. Chicago, week 4. Make sure to go to the DNVR to get your tickets to join us there if you want to go. That's going to be a blast. Next one coming in from Damien, Iowa Broncos fan. Lindsay says, what do they say, Yahir? Just giving us a super chat. We appreciate that. If you have anything else, make sure to just drop your comment and we'll pull it up as well. David Wilder says, good evening. Chad, Scott, and Dylan, and Broncos country. I was pleasantly... Are you Chad, Alexis?
I'm
Is that
Chad.
you? You're
I could be
Chad.
your
Are you
Chad.
Scott?
I'll be.
You're
Yeah.
Scott, and I'm Dylan. All right. I was pleasantly surprised with Albert O tonight. I was also very pleased with Drew Sanders. McLaughlin may become the new Terrell Davis.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay. I like it.
That would be something.
That would be
You
crazy.
know, I said that about Philip Lindsay too. So let's not get crazy.
I mean, you were far off, but like not that. I mean, he wasn't a Hall of Famer, but
No.
he was the first. Wasn't he the first running back,
to
undrafted
back.
running back,
Yeah.
to ever have 1,000 yards? Then he did back to back.
Yeah.
He did. I know.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, yeah, it's not
And
Terrell
he's a buff.
Davis.
Go.
Yeah, he is a buff.
But still.
Less than a week away from your Buffs kicking off.
I know. Finally.
Who Sac State have week 1?
I don't know. We'll probably whoop whoever it is, though.
TCU. I have the Buffs beating TCU. So.
Wow.
Dang.
Hopefully you're over at DraftKings or Bet365 because I believe they're plus
It's
600.
yeah.
Yeah, 20.5 point underdogs.
This is the first year I probably wouldn't have wanted to play CU as Sac State.
Yep.
Any other year, I feel like we could have took them, but they're gonna be pretty dominant
No,
this
with
year.
Deion?
Nah,
Yeah.
Deion's changing some things up, man.
Coach Prime.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Coach
Coach
Prime.
Okay.
All right. Katie is
Oh,
chiming
back to
in.
Super
Says, how about Essang Bassey? He has looked so good in preseason.
guys.
Alberto also earned his spot tonight. Don't trade him. We will regret it. Yeah, and coaches, correct me if I'm wrong here, Todd, but not just coaches. The NFL likes to play scared and act scared. And that's why a lot of the times you see teams do innovative things that other teams are just afraid to do because it's different and they don't want to look stupid if it looks wrong or goes wrong. And so teams are scared of losing a guy and then looking silly because they cut him or traded him.
Yeah, because how bad would you? I mean, losing a guy and cutting a guy that was good is just as bad as wasting 3 first-round picks on a quarterback that you end up trading for a fourth round. Like it's just a bad look for your organization. It makes you look like you guys couldn't make good decisions. You guys fumbled the ball, and you guys don't know what you're doing. So we don't want to be in that boat.
It's such a subtle jab, and I love it. I just love a good subtle jab here at 11:23 p.m. That one feels good.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
What should the Broncos have traded a 4th round pick for Trey Lance?
No.
Just scoff at the idea.
No. We don't have draft capital to be
fair.
To be wasting on potential maybe that not even the 49ers can figure out what to do with. But
that's a good point. If Kyle Shanahan
if Kyle Shanahan can't figure it out, actually, really, if Mike Shanahan can't figure it out because he spends all his time there,
he does.
And I don't know. What do you think, Todd?
We keep talking about guys that figure it out in year 3 or 4,
like Alberto.
Alberto. I can't say that. I think he's gonna figure out at some point. Maybe not be a Pro Bowler, but I think he'll figure it out to the extent of where he'll be a solid quarterback, be able to make some plays for somebody, and maybe a solid backup throughout his career. So I don't know. I might have spent a 4th rounder just to see if it worked out. I don't think a 4th rounder is something that you will get talked about for, or feel like you made a bad decision. I think in the end, if he does work out, it'll be a great pickup for Dallas.
Oh, I think it's a perfect spot for him behind Dak, because there's no pressure on Trey Lance this year because it's all Dak's team. But people, it seems like, want Dak out all the time, and now they've got a perfect. Maybe he's more of a Hail Mary at this point, but they still got a chance at getting their guy with Trey.
Yeah.
And to me, it comes down to, for this year, would you rather have Ben DiNucci or Trey Lance? Ben DiNucci in a 4th or Trey Lance? I'd probably rather have Trey Lance. But doesn't matter. Broncos decide not to go that way, and it doesn't seem like the Broncos had interest. I think there were a couple of teams that showed interest but weren't willing to give up a 4th like Dallas was. All right.
Just really quick on the Alberto thing. I just think it's funny to see everybody in the chat tonight being like, don't trade Alberto. Oh my gosh, Alberto was a lock for this team. Like, I'm not saying you guys were the ones 3 weeks ago.
Of course not.
Not you guys, but there were people
who
literally, when I interviewed Alberto, it was like, why would you interview this person? And it's like, I just want to point out that Alberto deserves to be in the chat tonight as a lock. And I love this for him. I absolutely love this. I love some of the fans that have to eat their own words. It's like, makes me so happy. And I love the people who've been supporting him since day one in Denver and who never got off the Alberto train, because I think we all know, I mean, he's coming off a big injury too. His first year tore his ACL. Like, he's had a lot of setbacks, and I just love the fact that people are supporting him right now. So yes, Team Albert. Everybody in the chat, Team Albert, yes.
Alberto should love you, because if you never interview him, maybe we're not talking about this tonight.
I don't think that I had anything to do with this.
It's
ironic that there's like a little sprinkle of like fairy dust every time that I interview somebody. And does intention matter? Because I did intend to interview Essang Bassey. Remember that?
Yep.
And that
did.
like somehow fell through. I wasn't able to get him that day.
Yeah.
So a couple sleepers. But.
And also joint practice number 2, Essang Bassey had an interception in the end zone and a PBU, back-to-back plays in the end zone. So I mean, he's doing it more, or he's doing more than just in the games as well. All right, next one coming in from CTOD Ghost. Says, my question is for Alexis. Since the Broncos won, will you consider staying with DNVR Broncos for the whole season now? You can fire Hank if you want.
I would fire Hank. I would love to fire Hank.
You're gone fired.
Only because he's a Chiefs fan. I don't know. Should I consider staying?
We'd love it.
Maybe if we can get to 400 likes.
Oh, man.
That's late in the game, too.
400 likes. We need a lot of likes if you want Alexis to hang around. And I know everyone wants Alexis to hang around.
Yeah,
wow, we're not even half the way. Come on. Hit us with a thumbs up, because, Alexis, every time that you're not here, everyone's like, where's Alexis? Why isn't she on?
Because they want my hot takes?
Yes.
My invaluable football knowledge?
Yeah, we all know you hate Michael Burton right now.
I don't hate Michael Burton. I just needed to, I don't know. Just here to stir the chat box up a little bit.
I absolutely love that. And Damien coming in with a long super chat, which is going to allow a lot of people to hit the thumbs up right now. Damien says, I had to watch them lose last year on Christmas Day in front of my girlfriend's family that are diehard Chiefs fans.
Yikes.
Felt like a consolation prize tonight. Was this a statement game for Sean Payton?
Still preseason.
It's the preseason, but I think it's a great game for Sean Payton. A great way to get your first win, 41-0. I think that momentum will carry over, so hopefully this leads to more statement games. This one, I think it was a good one. I don't know if it was a statement, but it was a good one.
This is a good tone setter, like I said earlier. This is a good culture moment, team bonding moment. I feel like it's a nice way to head into this next break of a week, and then getting ready for game week 1 against the Raiders. This is like a good feeling in the room,
especially with like the shitty feeling that's coming up the next 48 hours. I can't imagine being in that building, especially someone that's on the bubble. But even Todd, when you had your contract and you knew that you weren't going to be cut and you knew you were fine the next 48 hours, it still just has to kind of stink knowing that 40 or 53 guys are going to be on this team, but 37 guys are going to lose their job. Now, a lot of them are going to be signed back on the practice squad. Some are going to be signed by other teams. But, 37 guys, almost a third of your team is going to lose their jobs and lose their dreams over these next 48 hours. It has to be just awful.
Yeah, it's a tough day, man. It's kind of like, what is it, Black Sunday, Black Monday, where all the coaches get fired.
Yeah.
It's tough because you got a lot of young guys, and most of them are guys that haven't made a name for themselves. They haven't got to a paycheck or a second contract. So these are all guys that are super hungry that you kind of are watching their dreams kind of like fade away. And, some get signed and some just go home and never get to play again. Yeah. So it's definitely a tough day, and I don't wish it on anybody. I think football's a hard sport. It's one of the only professions where everything you do is judged by the masses. And then when you're fired, everybody gets to see it and it's thrown out on the national media, and you kind of got to live with it. So it's a tough job. Yeah,
really tough job. Don't remember what I was gonna say. I hope this isn't a statement game for Sean Payton. Because if the final preseason game is your statement game, oh boy, this is gonna be another rough era for Broncos country.
It's a great game for everybody who is a backup player or somebody that's going home, because all the guys that get to go home get to talk about this for the rest of their lives, and everybody who's a backup and doesn't get to play the rest of the season is like, man, if they had me in when I was in, we won 41-0. I don't know what these guys are doing, 100%. So it'll be good for all those guys.
Really stinks for the Rams though.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Like traveling home too, like you said, that plane ride, that can't be too fun.
It's quiet. It's real quiet.
Yeah.
I just think what's interesting too about losing like that, like they kicked our ass on Christmas. I understand that there wasn't a single starter. Like Sean McVay does not believe in starting his starters in the preseason, but like to go from such like an ass kicking on Christmas Day to like this kind of ass kicking in preseason, it feels good, but I don't think we're not writing any ships that way. Like that ass kicking just stays locked in our brains until we get to meet them again in the regular season.
And you know who will remind you probably right away that they were not here last Christmas? Sean Payton. He'll be like, that was not my team. I'm not associated with that team one bit. In fact, we're doing the opposite of what they did last year, and
we're going to wear white jerseys.
We're going to wear white jerseys for a home game. Also, there's a new flag, a new American flag out there. That could have been a Sean Payton decision. The other one went across the field. Now it's in the end zone. Wasn't a Sean Payton decision. It decided before the season.
It was decided before.
Why? It sounds like you have some insight on this.
I do have some insight. I was in these game entertainment meetings. They just wanted more space on the field. That old flag, the way it kind of came in front of the visiting team and then took up all that space. Like, as you can tell, like the way that the anthem singer and the parade of colors, it had to do with a few different things. Also, you'll notice like there's not the big long 3 minutes of parade of colors. I don't think there was tonight. I wasn't there.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be like that anymore, and that's why the parade of colors was already there when the team ran out of the tunnel. So they just wanted to change up the entire look, the feel, the pacing of pregame. And to put the flag there, it's easier to get on, easier to get off.
We got an expert. I
was in the game entertainment
this.
I love game entertainment. That's where I started way back in the day with the Denver Nuggets, and game entertainment's really fun. So yeah, I was in those meetings.
Well, we like your game entertainment on our show more.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll try to stick around if we can get to 400 likes.
Yeah, got 30 more. Hit us with the thumbs up. One more thing about, I guess this is not really game entertainment, but the new Jumbotron is so big that with field goals, when the Broncos are kicking a field goal looking that direction, they turn it completely black and just put a little Broncos logo in the middle.
What do they do in the opposition?
Leave it normal.
Ha-ha.
Yeah, so that's a little home field advantage there. And I like that they're maximizing
Do they just
that.
turn the brightness up too?
Yeah,
like you went on your
so
iPhone,
good.
just turn the brightness up?
I wonder if, there's got to be some rules against doing something like that, right?
Can they
why wouldn't you?
strobe? Could they do anything?
Exactly.
You have to think that there's rules
No.
against that, or else
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Just blind them real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, just being like, I don't know, like sportsmanship is probably why you
I
wouldn't,
don't care.
right?
You're playing to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. I'm sure we can call somebody and ask.
Yeah, I'm going to have to research. You know people.
I'll let you know the next time I see you.
Yes, please do. But I kind of like that little difference to help. And apparently Brett Maher liked it because went perfect today.
Yeah.
And the Rams missed. Although the Rams missed when they were kicking the other direction. So,
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. One more super chat. I've been trying to delay so we can get to 400
Doesn't
likes
look like
so
we're going
Alexis
to.
can
See you
stay.
guys.
Hit us with 19 more likes on 17 more likes on this final super chat. Bradley Howard says, had to make an impromptu trip from Athens, Georgia to Savannah tonight. Glad to have y'all on the trip with me this late. Hope everything's okay, Bradley. Thank you so much for rolling with us. And got to give a shout out to everyone that came by the DNVR tailgate tonight for a preseason game.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. I mean, we had Spirit Hound there. We had Snarfs there. We had so many people, including, got to give a shout out to our new friends, Sean and Hillary, who traveled from Baltimore to be at this game. They're going to come to the Chargers game later this year. So it was awesome to meet you. Awesome to meet everyone else at the tailgate. Any final thoughts? 7 more likes. Any final thoughts on this preseason game? Broncos schedule the next few days.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I think the Broncos are doing some meetings and stuff, watching the tape, enjoying it.
Yeah.
Monday, I believe it's a player's day off. Tuesday is cut day, which is a tough day. By 2 p.m., the Broncos have to cut their rosters by 37 players. Wednesday and Thursday, they practice. Then they're off for the weekend until they're back the next week for the start of Raiders week. So we're going to be taking tomorrow off, and then we'll be back this entire week with you guys. Any final thoughts?
No, I think we hit 400. So that was quick and easy.
It was.
Appreciate you guys for that, man. Thumbs up. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Alexis, you want to stay around for the season?
I'll stay around.
Let's go. Let's go. Is this official?
You're my boss. I don't know.
It's official. It's official. Let's go.
400
Alexis
likes,
Perry,
guys. Thank you.
Todd Davis, James Palmer, Henry Chisholm, and maybe one more special thing in the works.
Uh-oh.
These two don't even know about it yet. You hear RK as well. He's not the special thing. Thank you, though. RK as well. We are so appreciative that everyone's rolling with us at 11:37 p.m., almost midnight on a Saturday night. Thank you all so much, and we will see you on Monday. Stay tuned. We're going to be previewing exactly how this roster is going to boil down. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.